Hey, good morning. This week's video is a shop tour. Hope you're up for it. I know I am. Here we go. Walking in the door on my right, I have clamps, hoses, cords, stuff. Up above, general storage stuff, little electrical clamps, which I don't have enough of. I could always use more. There's actually a harness there. Haven't needed that in a long time. Some knee pads, a funnel, some paint cans, miscellaneous paint. You know, you'd never have enough of that laying around. Abrasives, saw blades. Most of those saw blades are dull. I don't know why I keep them. I should just get rid of some of them. Fasteners, lots of fasteners. And a can of resin that I know nothing about. I should get rid of that too. Oh yeah, and my skis. I keep them there. They stay fairly dusty. To the bench, we have a slow speed grinder, which is really nice to have for roughing things into shape. And some antique saws, some not so antique. Scroll saw. And miscellaneous containers and stuff and junk and, you know, things. A crib board that I made, just trying to figure out how to make one, and thought I'd give it a shot. I don't use it. Yeah, just whatever you find on a pegboard, some place to hide stuff. The hammer hooks, and also the fire starter. Yeah, and there's my match, the blue can. That's what I use for starting fires also. The world's oldest coffee pot. Handheld grinder. This isn't even mine. It belongs to a friend of mine, and I really, I'm really glad he kind of leaves it here. The fireplace. The fireplace is totally secondhand stuff that I found and scrounged. My daughter had this fireplace in her house, and she wanted rid of it, so it was an insert. I had another fireplace in here. The insert needed a chimney mount on it, so I took the other fireplace and cut the top off of it and welded it onto this to cover up to facilitate the chimney. And then it has an 8-inch flue pipe and triple wall on top of above the roof line, actually above the ceiling line. It goes to triple wall. Shop stuff, old snowboards. They got a lot of miles on them. I keep them for souvenirs because I don't snowboard much anymore. I might do it once a year if I'm lucky. Hell, getting old. The workbench. This is the assembly table, pretty much. You know, I'll do, when I knock the tendons off my bowls, I'll finish them out here on this table. I got a small bench grinder here, or sander here. The Rickon, bought that at Woodcraft. And then there's a Bosch router table, which is really nice. I like my Bosch router table. Let's see, moving along, we got the flag. This little cabinet here, it's on wheels and it breaks down into 4 pieces. You got the top section comes off, and then the 2 drawer sections come apart. And the bottom is made out of you know, bed frame steel because it's cheap. Well, it's free. You can always find that stuff. And a good set of wheels, because I used this when I was doing doors and hardware for GLY when I was up in Seattle, at Amazon. The drum sander. I really like the drum sander. It's great for flattening out rings, you know, making them all even for glue ups. Yeah, the Bosch router table over there is, that's a sweet machine too. The table saw, it's a Jet. I think I bought it not that long ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. It was a replacement for my 1952 Craftsman that the motor gave up on, and it was always kind of hard to when you first crank the blade up out of the table. That was really hard to crank, and I think that was kind of the way most of those Craftsman saws are. So I got rid of that, and I bought this one. This Jet contractor saw is a sweet little machine. I once bought a bigger saw, a Powermatic saw from a local shop in Auburn during COVID, and I paid them, $2,000 for it. They said it'd be 2 months, so fine, I'll wait for the 2 months because it's COVID and all. And then at the 2 months, I called them up, where's my table saw? And they're like, it's not here yet, it's going to be another month, so they tell us. And it's like, oh, okay, another month goes by, I call them up again. Yeah, it's not here yet. There's a supply issues, which during COVID, I understand that. But the other side of it is I'd already given them $2,000 for the saw, and wasn't seeing about $2,000. I don't remember exactly. Anyway, I said, when they get this, I said, I think it's time to get my money back. And so they gave me my money back, and I told them if they ever get the saw in, I'll buy it. And I've never heard another word from them. The next station is the welding station. It's welding, small metal work, miscellaneous stuff. Just what can you say about a welding station? I got a little Lincoln 140 MIG welder. I use the argon because if you don't use the argon, it will fill your whole shop up with smoke. Plus the welds are kind of ugly. It gets a lot of spatter and little weld beads rolling all over the place. I didn't like that. The grinders, I have a one-way grinder system, sharpening system on the variable speed Shop Fox grinder, and I like that very much. That's a really cool little grinder. This grinding station is going to get replaced. It was something I had an idea about years ago. Well, actually the grinder station has been working, but I want to put a cabinet here, and I'll probably put a bank of drawers in it and reset up these grinders so they're closer to the wall, and it'll open up a little more space for me. Yeah, the cutting table or welding table, whatever you want to call it. I got the scrap from a Microsoft job years ago, and it was going to get thrown away, so I just sort of grabbed it all up and loaded it in my truck and brought it here and made this little weld table, and it works really, really good. Once again, the legs are made out of bed steel. That stuff is free, and it's good to practice welding on, and I hammer on that thing pretty hard, and it's held together real nice. Moving over here, we have the press. Made that out of just made that out of steel, and it works really, really good. I haven't found anything that made it shake or quiver or nothing. The jack on there is not, it's just a screw jack, a little bottle jack thing. It doesn't, there's no hydraulics to it because I didn't want anything leaking on it. Plus, most of the stuff I use it for, it's just gluing bowls and such up. So I don't need a whole lot of power there. I do have another jack that goes with it that is hydraulic if I need to press something, bigger, but I don't. This is the automotive section back here. Just car stuff, work on your car, change your oil, whatever. I have an old Jeep that I work on a little bit. Stepping back here is the Powermatic sander, the large version. Man, I really like this machine. It just is a great sander. It has an exhaust system on it. Has an exhaust port for dust removal, which is sweet. Moving over here, this is the planer. I think it's 13 inches. It's a handy little thing. The exhaust system on this is terrible. Let me reiterate, the exhaust system on this is really terrible. It jams up after you've run 2 boards in it. So usually when I do this, I open up the shop door and just plan on doing a lot of cleaning and sweeping after I use it. I've got segmented wood storage area here, miscellaneous stuff. I got a piece of oh, I don't know, looks like I got some Paduke way up there on top, and some maple and some ash, birch, a lot of birch it looks like, some spalty maple. It's kind of fun to use. Yeah, then here's my bandsaw. It's an old Craftsman. My kids bought this for me brand new a long time ago, and I sometimes think I would like a bigger one. Well, hands down I would like a bigger one, but am I ever going to get rid of this? No, never. My kids bought this for me and I love it. My joiner, it's like a 1976 Craftsman. There's no frills to it. It all works real nice. A lot of times when I buy stuff, when I buy things for my shop, I don't go buy the top of the line stuff because, you know, it's expensive. I don't see spending that kind of money on something when something lesser will do. And I've always thought that if I need a better saw, I'm gonna go out and buy a better saw. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. But if, for example, this little joiner does everything I want it to do, I mean, most of the stuff I work with isn't over 4 feet, so I don't need a huge joiner. Would I love one? Yes. I have a friend, my friend Jeff, has got the sweetest joiner I've ever seen. That thing is just, you know, it's got the helically mounted little squares on that thing, and it cuts so smooth and nice. But for what I do, I don't need that. What I need is this right here, and it works good. So that's my machine. I had the blade sharpened and remounted them up. Here's my lathe. This is kind of the feature of the shop. My primary thing is wood turning, and I do enjoy that. That's just like, man, that's just cool. I love wood turning. This is a Nova Galaxy DVR, digital variable resistance. It's really cool because if you have a piece of heavy wood on here and you start bearing down on it, you know, hogging out some big wood, it applies more power to maintain the RPM. So if it feels like it's lugging down, it makes more power and keeps that speed going. Over here I have a bunch of wood blanks, some mistakes, some pieces that are going to get remodeled into something else. There's an old lid there, not an old lid, it's a lid, for a bowl that I didn't like the way it fit, so I made a new one. Yeah, just some miscellaneous wood. There's a birch bowl that I was going to do a ring around the outside edge of it, an epoxy ring, but it sort of went too deep and messed it up. Up above here, you can see there's some wires hanging out of the wall there. That's going to get fixed today. That's on my today list. I'm putting in another. Here's the new light that I installed for in here. It's pretty bright. I switched out all of my fluorescents for LED. I really like the more light situation, especially for sanding on the lathe. You can see those micro scratches. I don't know if you've sanded maple before, you know, especially Northwest broadleaf maple. I swear you go through there and look it over and get all the scratches out of it, but then when you get down to about 220, they all show up again. And then after you've all done that again, sanded it again, you get there and you put a finish on it and poof, there's another scratch. It's annoying. It's tough. So the more light you have to work with, the better off you are, especially with Northwest broadleaf maple. Yep, this is the shelf where I keep all my, you know, alcohol, wood finishes, just stuff. I like this wood bowl finish. It's real nice. This is a filler that I've been using. Sometimes you get a piece of wood that is so horribly soft or pithy. You need to do something to fill the grain, and I use that. For wax finishes, all three of these I love. This Ultra Shine is awesome. This wood wax shines up really nice, and this wood food is great for food grade type finishes. My tools are, some of them are pretty darn good and some of them are middle of the road. And I have this Easy Wood Tools, amazing hollowing tool. I like that. It's got a broad work area. You can reach in pretty deep. This is a Sorby 1/2-inch bowl gouge. This is also a Sorby 1/2-inch bowl gouge. I don't understand why they're so different. You see, I don't know if you can see, but this is this big, and that's called a 1/2-inch bowl gouge. And this is way smaller, and it's also a 1/2-inch bowl gouge. I don't know why. I use the Benjamin's Best because they're functional. There's no you don't they last just fine. I don't use them a whole lot. This spindle roughing gouge I use. This gouge I rarely use. I think it's a 3/4 inch, or maybe, yeah, it's like a 3/4 inch bowl gouge. The parting tool I use, but it's a fat parting tool, which is nice if you're handy if you're doing mortises and such. Both of these SKUs, you know, they're still pretty long, so yay. They're lasting quite well. I got this Sorby and made it a negative rake scraper. I like it, but I'm actually still kind of learning it. When it cuts right, it cuts beautifully. It's good for smoothing out the inside of a bowl. I like this one here. It has this sort of edge on it, and it's handy. You can use it. You can put the round side on the tool rest and rock it back and forth to increase your cutting angle, and it sharpens up really easy. Another tool that I like, this is my clunker. It's that was a horseshoe file, and I actually bought it at a garage sale. I'm just like, I gotta have it just to hang it on the wall. But as it turns out, I use it quite a bit. You can see there's dust on the edge of it. It works great. These other tools here, these small tools, I rarely use them. Occasionally I'll use them. I use this, with the exception of this one, I use it all the time. That's a good parting tool. And then these tools over here, they're just junkers. I found them at a garage sale, and you know, a bucket of tools for like 15 bucks. I'm just like, okay, I'll take it. And then I recently bought this one, Easy Wood Tool. It's a nice carbide cutter. It's aggressive. That big ring takes a lot of material fast. Let's see. Down here I have the student lathe. My friend Christina got this lathe and needed a place to set it up, so we set it up here in my shop, and she can come and turn on it, but she injured her shoulder, so it's just kind of sitting here, and I put my buffing wheels on it just to run it once in a while and make sure it's still working good. Recently got this Central Machinery drill press. I like it. It's pretty powerful. It replaces a benchtop drill press that I had before, and it works quite well. Here's a fun trick with how do I clean up my metal shavings, and I suppose I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever thought of this, but if I take my magnet, I can pick up all the metal shavings on the magnet, well, when it's on the floor. Anyway, you pick up your metal shavings on the magnet with the bag, and then you walk over to the garbage can and separate the magnet from the thing, and all the shavings fall into the garbage can. It works very well. This chop saw I've had for years. It's a Hitachi. There's a little laser line on it, but it doesn't work. It's a workhorse. It's been dependable for years, quite a few years now. It's not a slider, because with the slider you have to give up space, and I didn't want to give up any more space. It's already given up too much space. I use it a lot, and yeah, I think that about covers the shop. If you saw anything in the video you'd like to know more about, write it in the comments. Write it in the comments. Let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you see something that looked a little sketchy, well, my house, my rules. Yeah. Future plans. I'm going to finish the ceiling. I'll probably put the last 3 sheets of sheetrock up there someday, and maybe this summer. Like I said before, the bench that big burly bench is going away, and it's going to be replaced with a cabinet. Yeah, that's kind of it for this year. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the shop. All right, so this is kind of an extension of the shop. This is called the Hobby Hut, and it's where I do kind of clean work. I built this a few years ago just to have a clean space to work. It's not very big. It's a place where I try out things like, how am I going to mount a floating shelf? That's a floating shelf that I just made this week, the corner one. And the other one you've seen before in my other videos. If you've watched my other videos, you've probably seen some of the other projects too. The panda rings are right there, and haven't done a goblet for video yet, but I think that I'll put that on the list. There's the all-seeing plate, or serving dish, compass rose, a couple of eggs, and an ornament. Another large segmented bowl, genie in a bottle. My little snowman down there, and some other miscellaneous stuff. This is some of my early segmented work. It's Brazilian cherry on poplar, and that's a blue pine yarn bowl. A clock I made a long time ago. It's not keeping very good time though. I think the motor went bad in it. I'm not surprised. It's only like an $8 motor. The whiteboard, I do a lot of planning, and my grandkids wrote this on here, and I haven't brought myself to erase it. So make sure to like, subscribe, and slap that bell. So yeah, I have a little oven down here for drying. Sometimes I do some stabilization work, and I use that oven to dry out my little spalty pieces that need to go into a pressure pot, or not a pressure pot, but a vacuum chamber. Yeah, this is my little hobby hut. Anyway, that's the grand tour of OPA's wood shop. I hope you liked the video. Yeah. Like the video. So with that, I guess we'll call it a day.